find customers for your products. Find products for your customers. And I think this really cuts to the core of great sales. Put the people first and provide them consistent value over time. It's really just that simple. Now, a little bit about my background. I'm the founder and CEO of Enclu, a Bay Area technology startup with a mission to accelerate innovation around the world by making future technology accessible to creators today. I'll be peeling back the curtain and using Enclu as a case study throughout this presentation so that you can get some real actionable insight into how to build your predictable revenue pipelines. I've been a lifelong game developer, making my first video game when I was 11 years old. I spent 15 years in the games industry, and prior to founding Enclu, I led 3 production teams and mergers and acquisitions for NCSoft. I've seen a lot. The lessons I'm going to share with you today are a combination of my own hard-won learnings after 4 years running a startup, as well as the wisdom passed down by people much smarter than me, such as Seth Godin referenced above. Now, rather than a deep dive on any one topic, this presentation will be an overview of how you can transition an XR business from the referral trap of unpredictable deal flow to a repeatable and reliable sales pipeline. Now, while each slide could be its own entire presentation, my goal today is to help fill in the high-level knowledge gaps and empower you to seek more information on any topic you find particularly useful. We'll start by previewing your key takeaways, discuss who this presentation is for, and share a case study of Enclu to contextualize things a little bit. Then we'll dive right into the meat and potatoes, or for the vegans, the cabbage and potatoes, by discussing the referral trap and how to escape it by building a predictable revenue pipeline, and then close with considerations unique to the XR industry at large. Now, after today's presentation, you should have a high-level understanding of the following: creating a comprehensive lead generation strategy made up of spears, nets, and seeds, using your own values to establish a unique brand identity and generate an ideal client profile, building the stages of a sales pipeline and how to convert and engage customers, how to hire for important sales team roles and create incentive structures, and finally, how to forecast your predictable pipeline with clear reporting, modeling, and optimization for profit. So who is this talk for? Well, it's for independent XR developers like myself back when I started Enclu as a solo developer who knew next to nothing about sales or marketing. For entrepreneurs who have their very first products in customers' hands but are stuck in the never-ending cycle of unreliable business, and for sales and marketing leaders coming in from outside XR who want to better understand the unique opportunities and challenges of our industry. So let's talk about the referral trap with Enclu as a case study. Founded in 2016, Enclu had slowly gained increasing traction for about 3 years, but still we were stuck in 2019. Deals were getting bigger, but they were unpredictable. So in order to avoid hiring and firing staff every season, we needed to find a predictable revenue pipeline. After a lot of work getting our pipeline and product ready, in December, we launched Enclu Cloud. And since then, we've doubled revenue 3 times in just 6 months, closed over 50 new clients, many of which have come back for repeat business 3 times over, and had our best month in company history this month or last month by the time this airs, with $221,000 in monthly bookings. This is all despite COVID clearing out $194,000 in bookings from our signed contracts. So how do we do it? Let's start by breaking up your pipeline into 4 main categories. Acquisition, which is how you find new customers or how they find you. Conversion, which is how you convert potential customers into paying customers. Engagement, which is how you ensure customers are getting real value from your product and over time. And forecasting, how you generate realistic but aggressive targets and create incentives for your team to hit them. So let's talk about customer acquisition. Where are the leads coming from? Inbound leads are leads which come to you. Seeds are things which take a while to develop, like community management or social events. You plant a seed, you watch it grow over time. Seeds can be risky for an early stage startup in XR, as the market is so young that many of the growth hacks that work for web or mobile apps, they rely on channels which simply don't exist yet in XR. Remember that there were already 800 million people on the internet before Facebook was founded in 2004. Nets are also inbound leads which come to you. You cast a wide net and you see what you catch. You put something up like a billboard or a digital ad and people come to your website and fill out a contact form. Now, not every platform is created equal. You'll want to pay attention to your cost per lead, or the amount you have to spend for each lead you generate. Now, a common myth is that Facebook ads don't work for enterprise services and products, but in Enclu's case, we spent $5,000 in ad spend in February, and Enclu generated $61,000 in sales for a product which starts at $4,500 for enterprise clients. Many of our clients are spending greater than $20,000 after finding out about us through Facebook ads directly, so make no assumptions. Outbound leads are leads which you reach out to directly. We call those spears. Think you target and you catch. You research the market, you identify clients you wish to close, you find their email or a warm introduction, and you start reaching out. Think like cold calling. This is generally going to be more reliable in lead generation if you understand your market, your product, and your customer well. Now, any comprehensive strategy will incorporate elements of each type of lead generation. With good reporting, you can calculate your overall customer acquisition cost or the incremental cost of adding one new customer. And every balanced customer acquisition strategy is unique for your market because not all customers can be reached in the same ways for the same products. So before you can do any lead generation effectively, you're going to need to be able to articulate why your product is special, and that means understanding your competitors, the market, and your place in it. Why is your product special? Why are you the best person or team for your customers? And what matters the most to you and your customers? So I like the definition that a core value is something that you would sacrifice time or money for. It makes it really clear what actually matters to you. Now, if your values are in alignment with your clients, everything is going to fall into place much easier for you. As an example, at Enclu, our values drive not only how our team operates, but also how we build our product and which customers we go after. One of our values is we consider people first, which means we're not idolizing technology for the sake of cool architecture. We believe that using technology should feel as natural as using your own hand to grab something, a natural extension of our humanity. So how are your clients using your product? What would they be using if it wasn't for your product? And what are the key differentiators of your product? Is it time or money saved? What things are you not trying to do for your clients? Sometimes choosing what you're not doing is more important than choosing what you are. Now, you aren't the only one with your idea. If you were, it's probably a bad idea. Oftentimes, taking a good look at other solutions can almost immediately help you see why your solution is special and also why other solutions are special as well. It's totally cool to have other products out there which serve your customers in ways that you don't want to. As another example at Enclu, we're an enabling technology provider. Contrast with solutions like Unreal or Unity, which are great for engineers who love options and buttons, Enclu Cloud makes it easy for regular people to make the same magic. From a market positioning standpoint, you can think of Enclu Cloud like Instagram if Unity were like Photoshop. All the creative leverage for a fraction of the creative effort. Yes, it comes by sacrificing a little bit of flexibility, but that's great for our customers. Now, this helps us define our market positioning. And conventional wisdom states that you need to pick a niche and then you get rich. But unfortunately, many of the companies which went out of business or will go out of business due to disruption from COVID-19 didn't survive or won't survive because their businesses weren't adaptable. Balance and adaptability is key. That being said, you can't do it all. Creating marketing materials and understanding an industry is time-consuming. Industry lingo that lands with a training customer will almost certainly fall flat with a marketing client. So you have to learn what's important to them, and you have to craft your messaging around their needs. At Enclu, we like to focus on inner loop optimization for creative pipelines. So in any industry, there's content being created by teams, and there's always repetitive tasks. We find ways to simplify those repetitive tasks to make content creation more efficient and easier to enable creators to get into a flow state. This allows us to serve interactive 3D media innovators across entertainment, learning, and visualization clients with the exact same product. Once you have a good idea of what makes you special in the market, it's time to choose who you want to serve. If you were to close your eyes and imagine the perfect customer, what would they look like? How much would they pay you? What would your product or service enable them to do? And how would you find them? Now, if you have any, take a look at your current customers. Which of your current customers are more ideal than others? And what makes them more ideal? Is it values alignment? Do some care more about seriousness when your product has more a playful vibe? Or do they need complexity when your product is meant to be simple to use? Is it profit potential? Do some require a lot of effort and provide low revenue, or is the opposite true? Is it marketability? How can you reach them most effectively? Do they have blogs or trade shows or organizations that they frequent? Is it their sales cycle? How long does it take to close your clients? Are some 6 months high-touch conversations and others seem to close overnight, and why? Once you understand your positioning and your ideal client profile, or ICP, make sure that everyone on your team understands it as well, and why your product is the best possible solution for your ICP. Make it part of your onboarding process and update it regularly. Question: how many of your ICPs are there in the world or in your geographic region? You can generally find these stats with some rudimentary searches on Google. Sometimes it takes a little bit more digging. Are there any ways to further subdivide your market into areas of initial interest before expanding into wider segments? And which segments should come first and why? Can you identify the specific triggers or step functions for your growth? Can you find the lowest hanging fruit or the most ideal of all your ideal clients? Now that you have some leads, let's turn them into clients. One key mistake most people make at first is to look at the sales process as a single black box of tasks where you put in a ton of effort and eventually get out a deal. No wonder it's unpredictable. You'll need to start breaking up the work of converting clients into stages, each of which has its own clear set of goals and handoffs. Now, the best way I've learned to think about sales is that you're starting with someone who doesn't know anything about your product, and through various means, you're educating this person to the point where they decide that your product is clearly the right choice for them. You never want a client regretting purchasing your product. Word spreads fast, and it will hurt your sales. So let's break down your sales funnel. Step 1, understand your customer. Don't start by pitching them. Start by asking them a lot of questions. A major mistake many first-time salespeople make is by talking at their clients rather than listening to them actively. At the end of the day, they really don't care about you or your product. They really only care about what your product can do for them. Full stop. Take that in for a second. It's not about you and your cool invention. It's about what it can do for them. If you don't know what their pain points are, you're already wasting your and their time by trying to convert them. Step 2, build awareness. Share examples of work you've done in the past and share valuable insight into how your product solves their specific pain points. Be persistent and stay on top of mind with regular emails. Many of our clients don't respond until the 3rd or even 4th emails. They weren't ignoring us, they're just busy, like all people are these days. At Enclu, we're fortunate to have a long and diverse history of successful projects, like working with Fortune 100 auto manufacturers to innovate their training programs, or helping Sprint showcase the power of 5G at CES and Mobile World Congress, and even working closely with independent creators at our pop-up lab in San Francisco to help them bring their ideas to life in immersive augmented reality. We are constantly referencing the insight we've gleaned from these projects to illustrate how we're uniquely capable of meeting clients' needs. One example, on the eve of E3 in 2019 in Los Angeles, Enclu was building a 6,500 square foot installation called the Unreal Garden for 50,000 E3 attendees. With only hours left before showtime, our app's performance inexplicably dropped to be unplayable. Because of our prior experience working with artists for a company called One Dome in the Bay Area, we knew how important it was to be able to allow many people to work on a scene together. You can subdivide and conquer and find things quickly. So we dogpiled the problem, and our product, which enables remote collaboration, got 15 people in the build collaborating in real time to find the cause. We found it and we fixed it. The next day, the show began and we were a hit. We had a line that stretched 2.5 hours long around our installation right next to Nintendo. It was a great day. Step 3, empower your champion. They have to convince other internal stakeholders, so they better love your product. It's often the case that you're speaking with multiple people on the other end of the table. It's important to understand what role each one of them plays in getting to a yes. Some of them are there as flies on the wall, but at least one of them needs to be your champion. Choose wisely. The person who is going to tell everyone at their company that your product is the best. Make sure to spend most of your time winning over your champion and equipping your champion with the materials and information to make it easy for them to share with their colleagues. Step 4, craft a deal. Good deals lead to winning relationships for both sides of the table. If you've been in business long enough, you've probably met plenty of people who view each transaction as a zero-sum game, where one person wins and one person loses. Great contracts align incentives so that each side can win, but in practice, this isn't always easy. Though remember that the best client is a return client, and if you're planning on keeping clients or partners for any length of time, any short-term gains you make from creating a one-sided deal will eventually be eroded by the distrust generated when your partner better understands the deal dynamics down the road, which they always inevitably do. Also, one last thing on contracts. Contracts are for when things go wrong, not for when things go right, so protect yourself and your interests. Don't make any assumptions like, of course they'll pay on time. If something is important to you or your company, make sure it's spelled out unambiguously in the contract, and don't be afraid to walk away from a deal if it isn't right for your company. Step 5, close. Now, this part is a lot easier than it might seem. All you have to do is start asking leading questions which help your potential clients tell you what remains. Questions like, how can we get this deal to a yes? How can we get this signed this week? What questions still need answered? Now, you never want to be in the dark about what the next steps are. Every meeting should end with clear follow-up action items. Let them tell you how to get over the finish line. Okay, you did it. You closed the deal. Congratulations. Now we got to keep your new client happy. So add-on business is much easier than new business. Common mistake is that a deal is done once it's closed. Nope, nuh-uh. Closing a deal is just one of many steps in your customer journey. Before a deal is even closed, you should have a strategy in place with how to continue nurturing the customer relationship and driving greater engagement with your product. Example, at Enclu, greater than 55% of our business comes from add-on purchases. Once you put in the effort to win a customer, it would be a grave mistake to let them fall out of your good favor. So think of your customer's perspective in their entire journey through your product ecosystem. While you might be an expert, they are just getting started. And what are the key areas you want to make sure they get through? For us, the magic always happens when a creator sees for the first time that they can edit reality interactively in real time from their device to the web. The first time this happens, it's nearly guaranteed that there'll be an audible wow or whoa involuntary response. It is so powerful. For us, it is of paramount importance that all of our creators get this magic moment. And we've crafted a client success script and supporting documentation to ensure that 100% of new clients get that in their first onboarding. How are you going to ensure that you get to your magic moments without fail? Do you have analytics? And how are you reporting them? How often are you going to check with your customers to make sure things are on track? And how are you going to collect feedback from your customers and send that to your product team so that they can keep making the product better? Great. Now that we've discussed how to go from your core values as an organization to a body of engaged customers, let's talk about who should do it. In hiring, another mistake in building sales pipelines is that you can scale them by having one kind of person do all the things. Like any team, there are going to be different skills required and personal strengths which allow individuals to excel. It's important to hire for these skills and strengths and understand that someone who is good at marketing doesn't need to be good at closing deals. As a leader in your organization, you also may need to fill in capability gaps until you can afford to bring on more help. So let's talk about some roles common to sales organizations. The marketing manager generates leads using various inbound lead strategies like nets, spears, and seeds that we talked about earlier. Make sure they know your market inside and out and how best to reach your clients. Someone who understands social media might be great at running an Instagram page, but might be stuck in understanding how to reach stakeholders at Fortune 100 organizations. This is generally not a commissioned role, and their primary goal should be inbound lead generation. Get those leads coming in. Now, the sales development representative will research your market and look for promising ideal clients, ICPs, for outbound lead generation, targeted spears. Sometimes this role involves peer research and qualification. Sometimes it involves cold calling. It should always involve handing over leads to account executives for closing. This is generally partially commissioned role, as either a flat fee for qualified leads, like $100 for someone bringing in a qualified lead, or a percentage of revenue from deals that are closed as a result of their introduction. This can be an internal or an external role. Sometimes it overlaps with business development as well. Now, their primary goal is going to be outbound lead generation and prospect qualification. The account executive is your workhorse. They close deals, and you'll probably have to start being your own account executive, and you can teach others as you go. But account executives should always enjoy competition, get the thrill of the close. Always a commissioned position. Be very wary of account executives who aren't excited about closing deals to get greater commissions. Their primary goal, booked deals. Finally, the client success manager keeps clients happy and drives engagement and retention. Make sure they know how your product works like the back of their hand, and make sure they have great people skills. This can be a commissioned role if your product supports upselling, not necessary. And their primary goal is customer retention. Now, this is not an exhaustive list. There are plenty of other roles, but these 4 will build you a reliable pipeline. So once you have your sales team and your deal pipeline up and running, the next step is forecasting. Forecasting allows you to set realistic goals that you can rally your sales team around. It also allows you to determine how well your team is performing at regular intervals so that you can intervene and course correct if necessary. So staying on top of your numbers is critical. I cannot underscore that enough. Get on top of your numbers. Without data, you won't be able to make informed decisions or iterate on your hypotheses. Track important data, but also try to keep it as simple as possible and look for the key performance indicators, or KPIs, that do a good job of predicting future performance. At Enclu, our customer acquisition cost is largely made up of ad spend and sales commissions. Since we can directly increase our ad spend, we can directly increase our new deals. Once you can trace the cause and effect relationships with your data like this, you can begin to get a more accurate prediction of the future and build a predictable revenue pipeline. I recommend transparently tracking all deals and commissions in a single public place. You'll save yourself a ton of work, and you'll inspire a healthy competitive spirit on your sales team. You'll also avoid any issues of staff expecting a different commission than what you're expecting. So XR, AR, VR in many ways is still a frontier technology ecosystem. Even though it might be your day-to-day, remember that for many people, they've never used VR and even less so AR. You're going to have to work harder in explaining the value of your products and services to your clients. Instead of relying on XR buzzwords from outdated industries, get really close to clients to better understand how they see the world. The repitch. If you can explain what your product does to a 10-year-old and have them explain it back to you, then it passes the repitch test. 10-year-olds generally don't know buzzwords, so you're going to have to try hard and communicate in human terms. Make it easy to understand. Because these technologies are incredible, it's also far too easy to overpromise and underdeliver. We've all seen it before, and it's made it harder for all of us to close deals. So you'll never be 100% accurate in your predictions of performance. So always try to err on the side of under-promising and over-delivering. This ensures you've always got some wiggle room to guarantee that your customers are happy, which should be your #1 goal. Also, too many products are trying and failing to capture the entire market before the market even exists. Now, at Enclu, we believe there will not be an Oasis or a metaverse. There will not be one 3D app store to rule them all. Like the current web, it will be a cacophony of technologies working together. And nascent markets are ripe for partnerships and affiliate marketing opportunities. Because of the work that we at Enclu did with Microsoft early in our history, we are now one of a handful of licensed resellers of the HoloLens 2 on Earth. You're going to have to be inventing new business models and pricing structures, and it's easy to over or undervalue the product you're selling. But keep in mind the profit principle. If you can sell your product at a profit, which means charging enough to make back your costs and then some, then you're doing the world a service. If you can't sell it at a profit, then you're really just making a hobby out of something that's fun for you. As an early adopter, you probably have more value than you realize just from your experience on the front line. If all you're doing is adding a gimmick to an existing process, maybe rethink why you're doing this in the first place. If you can find ways to package your products and services as real value add for the decision makers on the other side of the table, then no price tag will be too high. And that's a wrap. In this presentation, we discussed defining your ideal client profile, building a comprehensive marketing strategy with nets, spears, and seeds, subdividing tasks and hiring people whose strengths match their goals, forecasting with clear and transparent reporting, and turning the challenges of XR into blue ocean opportunities. Thank you for your time. If you'd like more information, I recommend the following books, which have helped me immensely. And if you're looking for HoloLens 2, as I mentioned, Enclu's selling them. Or if you're looking for help getting your XR business off the ground, contact us at enclu.com. If you'd like more dedicated sales or growth coaching, contact me directly at ray@enclu.com. And thank you to the VRAR Association for hosting this online webinar. And have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Let's look forward to the haircuts.